The following is a presentation of the Match Talk Podcast Network.
Defense Soap revolutionized athletic hygiene in 2005 with the introduction of a bar soap containing natural ingredients proven to be effective against skin infections common to wrestlers. Today, Defense Soap leads the world in sports hygiene innovation with a complete line of bar soaps, shower gels, and body wipes that contain high-grade tea tree, eucalyptus, and peppermint oils. Defense Soap. Defend what you have built at DefenseSoap.com. Hello, wrestling fans. It's time for the World Wrestling Resource Podcast. The World Wrestling Resource was made that you as a wrestler, parent, coach, or fan can have access to all the resources of the very best in the world of wrestling. I'm three-time wrestling writer and broadcaster of the year, Jason Bryant, and I want you to join me, along with John McGovern and world champions Terry Brands and Dennis Hall, as we talk training tips, topical discussion, mental preparation, and more on the World Wrestling Resource Podcast. World Wrestling Resource is sponsored by Defense Soap. Find World Wrestling Resource on Facebook at facebook.com/World Wrestling Resource and follow us on Twitter at WWRESO. And, of course, on the web at worldwrestlingresource.com. Now on to the show as we join John McGovern, Terry Brands, and Dennis Hall. And welcome back to the World Wrestling Resource Podcast, episode 64. My name is Jason Bryant, and before we begin, our show, as always, sponsored by Defense Soap. Defense Soap has always been dedicated to the proposition that the only place wrestlers should find their opponents is on the mat. Defend what you have built at DefenseSoap.com. Today, we are going across the world and directly across the world, completely around it, almost dead center, 180 degrees from where I sit right here in Minnesota over to New Delhi, India. And we're going to talk to Vinay Siwach, a sports writer at the Indian Express, talking wrestling, all things Indian wrestling, international wrestling. Vinay, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jason. It's a pleasure.
One thing that I've been doing over the past couple years is I've produced this daily wrestling newsletter that I send out, and throughout all my Google alerts and combing through news, I find a lot of wrestling news coming out of India. And you're one of the big people that promotes the sport as a journalist. And first off, let's say, when did you get your start in journalism, and why is wrestling kind of your beat?
I began with the Indian Express 5 years back. It was late 2013. And I've been doing this, covering wrestling for the last 4.5 years. And because I belong to the same state as most wrestlers, and I've seen a lot of wrestling throughout my childhood, and it just excites me. It's interesting to see the sport, to be involved with the wrestlers, know them, know their lives. And it's probably the greatest sports in the world.
When you say wrestlers from a state, explain how India is geographically and why the wrestlers coming from this state, this Haryana state, and explain why this is considered a wrestling state compared to maybe other places around the country.
Okay, so Haryana is a state in north of India. It's a neighboring state to the capital, New Delhi. And if you see, there around 75 to 80% of the Indian wrestlers come from this state, which is a huge number. And Delhi also produces some of the wrestlers, but because majorly they are wrestlers who stay or have villages on the Delhi and Haryana border, because Haryana borders Delhi on three sides, and one side, which is Uttar Pradesh, the state of Uttar Pradesh, wrestlers do come from that side as well, but they are more majorly trained in the wrestling schools of Haryana. So there is Maharashtra, which also produces some wrestlers. The Maharashtra is a state in southwestern India, but the number is very less. Punjab, it's also another northwestern state in India. It also produces wrestlers, but the wrestlers haven't made it very big in mat wrestling, and most of them wrestle in mud wrestling. So Haryana, basically, it is because it has a culture of wrestling. There was many great wrestlers who used to compete in mud wrestling from the state, and Sushil Kumar, Yogeshwar Dutt, all these big shot wrestlers that have won Olympic medals for India come from Haryana. And now Bajrang Punia, who won the Asian Games, he also belongs to Haryana. The female wrestling, the girls also, most of them are from Haryana, and that is only because of the culture and more like the farming background of the state that helps them go to mud wrestling that is popular here, which is known as dangals. So everyone starts there. There are a lot of academies that have come up after Sushil won that 2006, 2008 Beijing Olympic bronze medal, which was a game changer for wrestling in India. It was a second medal, Olympic medal for India in wrestling, and it completely changed how people saw wrestling. It was great. People wanted to do it, and the schools got filled. Chhatrisal Stadium in India was known as the school of wrestling for every wrestler. Sushil, Yogeshwar, Bajrang, everyone has trained there. It is run by a former wrestler, Satpal, and he has produced so many good wrestlers from there. So this is so Haryana. It's very people are just willing to go in sports, not in just wrestling, but the state produces a lot of sports athletes, and it gives. And it's, once Sushil got the medal, the people just just start began coming to those to the wrestling schools, and it just picked up. Haryana became the hub of wrestling, and especially mat wrestling. So one of the reasons again it is doing so good on mat wrestling is because the dangles, the mud wrestling. Earlier it was like the bouts would go on for 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. But like probably since the London Olympics, the organizers of mud wrestling have realized that this is not a way to continue. We should focus on more mat wrestling. So we have now the Haryana, whoever organizes a dangle, the mud wrestling, they try to keep it shorter and put the scoring on points. So like kids can get used to the point scoring system that will be used later in mat, and they can get used to these moves early on. So that's how it's built. The money, the benefits the government provide, the state government, Haryana government provides us so much and huge that people want to do it. People want to take the wrestling as a professional sports, and they want to go out and win those medals so they can have financial backing of the government, a job, and it's I guess the prize money is most compared to any other state in India. So Bajrang Punia, he who recently won the Asian Games gold medal in 65 kg category, got richer only by the state government provided him rupees 3 crore. So that's a big thing. So that's how the rewards, the practice, the culture, the background, and the Sushil winning the bronze medal at Beijing Olympics completely changed, and that's how Haryana grew in wrestling.
And we look at the landscape of sports. What you said is there was such a big rush after Sushil Kumar won that bronze medal. But the sports landscape, I mean, cricket dominates the headlines there. And what are some other sports that wrestling has to contend with to try to get the eyeballs, to try to get the readers in the newspaper? I mean, how popular is a sport compared to the other sports in the country?
So cricket, obviously, it's probably the biggest game in India. Everyone watches it, but I think badminton would be the second most popular sport in India, especially after PV Sindhu won the silver medal at the Rio Olympics, and most of the households and the parents are ready to send their kids in badminton. It's really huge, and then I think after cricket, badminton, and then football. Football is really, which is known as soccer to you, and it's really huge. People follow. The national team is improving as well, so people do follow football. And then, obviously, I guess wrestling would be fifth in number, fifth or sixth, to be honest. And slowly it picks up. There a lot of participation, but you cannot say it's very popular because there's this sport kabaddi, which is hugely popular across the country. So cricket across the country is popular. Badminton probably across the country is popular. Maybe the northeast side it may not be, but yeah, cricket, badminton, kabaddi, and football. wrestling, or maybe athletics is a bit higher than wrestling. So that's why it's fifth or sixth in India. It's slowly picking up, and more medals, the popularity just grows. More. The thing is, another thing with wrestling is it's not popular across India, which isn't the which takes it below some positions in the table. And north of India, it dominates north of India. And cricket, I won't say so many players have not been so keen to pursue cricket from the state of Haryana. So other sports take too much in too much. So the other sports like go up the ladder in states of Haryana, and also because the money involved in wrestling is a bit lower than, say, cricket. The cricket, you need to go to academy, buy the kit, the gear, and a lot of things. So that's a bit not very. The middle class of Haryana isn't really keen on going like that route.
So wrestling needs to work, and a couple more Olympic medals. Sakshi Malik winning the Rio bronze was a big boost for the women's wrestling in India, and more girls have come up, and they're doing nice at the cadet level too. World champions Anshu and Sonam, I think. So it's coming up, but yeah, it's not in. I can say it's not in top 5 currently.
When we look at the importance of wrestling and we look at how it's a medal that makes things big, and the Commonwealth Games is a big thing for those nations, and then you mentioned Sakshi Malik, and then we go back to one of the biggest things that have come out of Indian wrestling was actually a movie last year called Dangal, which chronicled the career of Geeta and Babita Phogat, which is one thing I need to get into. Question before we even get to that. What is with the last name thing with India? Okay, you've explained it to me on Twitter, but you'll see like names like Geeta and Babita. Why is it like that?
Okay, there are two things about this. The names like, say, Geeta or Bajrang or Sumit, something like that. The names repeat because first thing is because of the passport, they go with only the first name. When the kids, when their passport gets made at the cadet level, not all of them put their second name in those papers, and they don't really know how important, or it's not. I don't know how they think, but it's like they don't put it in for 10 years. So your passport validity is, I think, 10 years minimum in India. So for 10 years, you'll see, and nobody, when they go and get it renewed, they don't really want to change that name. So that's one of the reasons for it. The second, and I think a bit less prevalent now. It was way back during maybe when wrestling wasn't very big in India. So there was a caste system, which second name used to reveal the caste. So people really never used to write the second name when they were wrestling mud dangles. So, but yeah, this single name thing of international wrestlers is mainly because of the passports, which they don't write their second name. So when I think the WWR database needs a second name, so they put the same name again, like Bajrang.
Yeah, because as I was announcing the Commonwealth Games, I was actually sending Vinay messages on looking for last. I actually been doing this the last couple international events. Okay, I know this. I need their last names if you've got it. And he's come through in the clutch for that. But back to the movie and a little bit of a dramatization in some ports. Some of the names were different from the Commonwealth Games when they were held in India that year, where Dangal kind of chronicled. And how much did that movie? What was basically the general response to Dangal, the movie in India?
Yeah, there was some dramatization, but I guess the movies can take that leverage. So it was a biopic on the father of Geeta and Babita Phogat. So his name is Mahavir Phogat, and the thing is, he was a wrestler himself, and in the villages he used to work. He used to work in the farms, then go to school. And he was very much into wrestling after a certain age, and but he couldn't fulfill those dreams as shown in the movie. He couldn't win a medal at a big stage, and it wasn't such a big success for him. So in Haryana, the girl child isn't really forced to, or maybe pushed to study or go in sports. It's still a taboo thing for girls to go and play sports in Haryana. So Mahavir, he wanted to have sons, but he couldn't. So the daughters, they came. So he thought of, why not my daughters? They can do the same thing as my son. So he forced Geeta and Babita into wrestling. They picked up, and they became the pioneers of Indian female wrestling by winning the Commonwealth Games gold medal. Geeta won that, and it was held in New Delhi, so the home crowd was there. It was buzzing with the whole stadium. Before that, a couple of good wrestlers have come up. The Alka Tomar was there, Geetika Jakhar. They won medals at the Asian Championship. So there were wrestlers, but these two girls just made it to the big level of winning Commonwealth Games. It's still a huge deal, I know. But see, like wrestlers, female wrestling in Nigeria is good, Canada is good. So winning there was a big deal, and home crowd was there, and it was fun to have gold medalists from the country. So that the whole thing of how Mahavir sacrificed so many things to make them the stars of Indian wrestling. And Geeta qualified for the London Olympics as well, making her the first women wrestler from India to do so. So that movie really made a huge impact on the female wrestling scene in India, and even the fans who haven't seen actual wrestling, they like the movie, and it promoted wrestling a big way. And the lead actor, the Amir Khan, he's a superstar. He's popular throughout the world. So I think that helped. China, I think it's broken all records in China. So yeah, how it just picks up the movie really helped. And then after Babita and Geeta, their sisters, Ritu Fogart, a junior world silver medalist, and another sister, Sangeeta Fogart, who won the bronze medal in Asian Championships in Kyrgyzstan recently, in February this year. So these girls came up, they continued the legacy, and their cousin Vinay Fogart, she just won the Asian Games recently, gold medal, making her the first woman to win the Asian Games gold medal for India. So they haven't let it go. Vinay is probably the best among them. So this is because now they're popular. Now they people know, okay, women wrestling is a good thing. It's a fantastic thing to see and watch, and the phenomenal success of Fogart sisters has really fueled the female wrestling in India. And to be honest, there was a report in ESPN in Asian Games recently when after Vinesh won the gold medal, there was a Chinese journalist that has reported in ESPN, Jonathan Selvaraj, the reporter. He was there, and he reported that there was a Chinese journalist who was asking who is the gold medalist, and when he came to know it was Vinesh Fogart. So he's like, is she the one who is in the movie? Is the movie based on her? The character of Vinesh isn't really in the movie, but the Chinese reporter was really excited to know that. So you see the impact of the movie. It's cross borders, it's reached everywhere, and it's really helped India to know the wrestling, the female wrestling, how Haryana helps, how sacrifices of a father have come up. So yeah, I think it's probably one of the biggest sports biopics that have been made in India. It's hugely popular and nicely done. I guess it's a good movie, and thanks to Amir Khan, I think he's really put in a lot of effort to play the role of Mahavir Fogart. Great wrestling movie, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually watched it on the plane from LA to Australia for the Commonwealth Games. So I actually watched it as I was getting ready to go to the Commonwealth Games just a couple months ago in Gold Coast, Australia. Now, one thing that is always interesting to me is that you're talking about the mud wrestling in Haryana, and then the transition to the mat wrestling. From what you've seen, how is that transition? Where do people will sit there? Will the wrestlers be like, well, we're just going to sit here and still do the mud wrestling thing? That's more beneficial to us than try to go for an Olympic or an Asian Games or a Commonwealth Games medal.
Mud wrestling is very popular across I think the length and breadth of the country, and also like the state of Punjab has a very good great culture, because before partition, even when Pakistan was still part of India, it was the Punjab was a very big area, and people used to wrestle in the mud wrestling. The kings used to have wrestlers as there to fight maybe the wrestler of some other kingdom. So the culture has been very old. People have wrestled, and then slowly when people like Chandragiram and others transitioned to the mat, so it picked up as well. The mat wrestling slowly picked up, and uh, the Asian Games held in New Delhi in 51 and 82, that helped. So these things help. So mud wrestling works is when a kid begins to wrestle in those akhadas. The akhadas are the wrestling schools in India, the academies. So the akhadas, you have a if you are a if the akhada owner is a well-off guy, so he will have a mat. Otherwise, what he will have is a pit, the mud pit where they can spar and they can train throughout the day, in the morning and in the evening, the two sessions. So when a kid starts, now the kids are generally from just maybe lower middle class or middle class. So those guys do not have, like say, a very good financial background. So they go around when they're just competing, when they're like say 10, 12, 13 year olds, they go around the state competing in dangals. So they get prize money if they win. So slowly that's how they begin. They go around, they compete in dangals, and once you realize, okay, this boy or this girl is too good wrestler, then the slowly start coming on the mat, because it's generally like this. Morning practice is usually in the mud, or like those ropes. They climb the ropes, they run, and then they shift to a 2 hour training session on mat in the evening. So, but mats weren't so common back in say the second half of the first decade, maybe after 2005. So slowly the akhadas needed mats, so they came up with mats. So the whole thing was it was all mud. There's nothing so big as mat. Satyasal Stadium was the biggest. It had a mat. Sushil trained there. Yogeshwar, Bajrang. I can name them. The 2009 World Championship. Ravi. Okay. He's known as Bura Pelwan in India. Ramesh Kumar. He won the bronze medal for India. That he also trained in Haryana. He had a mat. So these things, the mats were limited, but whoever was a good wrestler used to shift to mat to train and learn the techniques. But his base was prepared in the mud, so it wasn't easy, or it wasn't a smooth transition, because you need to. The mud wrestling is very. You need a lot of stamina. You need a lot of strength. To keep on. Keep on wrestling the other wrestler. You tire him. You tire him for 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, and that's how you used to wrestle in mud. So, but in freestyle on mat, you need to be quick and you need to score points by your technique, and not how well you can tire your opponent. So that was one difficult thing for a wrestler coming from mud to freestyle. But once you pick up and you want to become an international level wrestler for India, I don't think they go back to mud. They stay on the mat. They go to big stadiums and train there. And once they start having a decent the mat training, they stick to it. They don't go back to dangles. Very rare if they want some big money. But there are still wrestlers who train on mat and still go back to dangles. So the heavyweight wrestler mostly, I'll take a couple of names where they have represented India at the national and international level, like Krishan Kumar. He's a very good and a very well-known wrestler in India because of his winnings in dangle more than his winnings on mat. But he's a national champion. He has been a national champion. So these things, and if you I can just recall a recent incident in Turkey during the Yasser Dogo. It's a bit controversial when Jaskavar Singh Gill, popularly known as Jasapatti, he was asked to remove his headgear, and he did not. He said, "No, I won't because of religious values and he doesn't want to. He was reluctant for it, and he couldn't compete. He is probably India's one of the top mud wrestlers currently, probably the top three. He will be in the top three, but he wants to come to mat and listen to learn freestyle wrestling. So that's how people are starting to realize, okay, freestyle wrestling, the mat wrestling is as important as the mud wrestling. But dangles, they give you a lot of money. So that's one thing that wrestlers will always have on mind to get their financial background stronger. And once they become successful mat wrestlers, they stick to it because they know that winning national and international medals will also bring them money. So the transition isn't smooth, but once you start winning medals at the national level, then you keep training on the mat and do not go back to dangles until and unless you're recovering from an injury and you need some small amount of money, so you can go back to dangles. But big wrestlers don't go there. The stars don't go there. The cadets and juniors, they try, but the trend is becoming less and less. But Punjab State, the dangal culture is still very popular, and the mat culture hasn't really picked up there.
Moving forward in the world of Indian wrestling, there's always been some drama, it seems, with what is the WFI, that's the Wrestling Federation of India. And, of course, in 2016, leading up to the Olympic Games with 74 kilos and the sordid saga of Sushil Kumar and Narsingh Yadav. Yadav had won the spot for India by wrestling in a medal match in Las Vegas the year prior. Kumar had not wrestled at the weight class, but I think maybe once since maybe the World Championships a couple years prior. He wanted to wrestle off. Yadav had basically won the spot for the country. And then we get into all sorts of drama. And you covered this one extensively, as did a lot of the media in India. And when you look back on that situation where there was a wrestle off, well, this guy won a medal. Well, this guy then got popped for doping. Now this guy's he's tainting his food. It was such a crazy, crazy situation. Like it was a soap opera. You couldn't have scripted it. I mean, what was it like to cover that whole situation?
The lead to the Rio Olympics, the controversy surrounding India's participation in the 74 kilo category was actually a crazy experience. I and my colleague Meera Savla were covering it for the Indian Express, and it was actually we just were getting new details every day, and there were so many twists and turns. So it was after the Las Vegas World Championship. Narsingh Yadav won the bronze medal there, and he earned the spot for India to represent at the Rio Olympics. India, the federation, they have it's not a written rule, but they still follow the tradition of sending the wrestler who has won the quota to the Olympics. Sorry, so there's no trials or there's no wrestle off who will go. Once the quota is earned, but whoever wins the spot goes to the Olympics. But here is two-time Olympic medalist Sushil Kumar. He's probably the greatest athlete that India has ever produced, because there's no one who's won 2 Olympic medals for India. So he's moved up to 74 after the new weights were announced in 2013, I think. So since then he wrestled a couple of in Italy once at 74, then at the Glasgow Commonwealth Games. Then he didn't wrestle for probably a year and a half. So he's injured. There's a shoulder injury. He doesn't go to Las Vegas, but here is Narsingh who has won the sport. So Narsingh doesn't want to wrestle off, but Sushil wants it because there's always a reputation, and he wants to probably win a 3rd Olympic medal for India. So he moves to the High Court of Delhi. The High Court dismisses his plea, saying it's very close to the Olympics, and as the federation has followed this tradition of sending the same wrestler who's won the quota to the Olympics, so why change it? But Sushil, okay, he has to drop the case. The result is not, the judgment is not as in favor, but probably just nearly a month towards the Rio Olympics, so just 3 weeks before the Olympics, Narsingh Nursing failed the dope test, and the news is all over India. It's the controversy which began with Las Vegas is now taken a new turn, and it is now we are in danger of losing the spot, 74 kg spot. But then UW confirmed that India won't be losing the spot, but nursing cannot represent. So nursing appeals to the National Anti-Doping Agency that he hasn't his drink was spiked and he didn't take the banned substance. So the NADA, the National Anti-Doping Agency, NADA, it has his appeal. And so I was very surprised that they cleared him, that he hasn't doped, and it was actually spiked. And so once NADA clears it, it became a national issue, right? The parliament the question was raised in the parliament as well. So, but once it became that nursing cleared, that was cleared by NADA because of his appeal, he goes to Rio, but there the WADA isn't really isn't you see that they're not happy with the NADA judgment. So the day before the competition of 74 kg, they hold another check, and then they say that no, nursing actually took a banned substance and they do not let him wrestle. So in this whole process, India cannot now fail to name a replacement for nursing because they thought that NADA cleared him and he can wrestle there. But the problem is now they don't have a replacement, and the 74 kg just goes blank for India. There's no one to represent there. So it was a sad thing because nursing won the spot. He should have gone. And the WFI cited a case in 2004 where Yogeshwar Dutt was still a newcomer and he won the spot to Athens. There were a couple of high court cases by, I think, I don't remember the appealer's name, that I should be going, and instead of Yogeshwar Dutt because he's new and I've represented India at bigger tournaments. But the WFI stuck with the thing that the wrestler who wins the quota will go to the Olympics. So this was same case, but Sushil wanted to wrestle off, which would have been a different procedure to select the Olympic team, which didn't happen. And also there was no prior recorded statement of WFI that we will hold the trials. So that became a big thing. There were reports that they will hold the trial. The president of WFI was on court in newspaper reports that we will hold the trial if anyone wins here, and Sushil hasn't come. So all these things, they got so mixed up. There was nothing clear, and then High Court rejected Sushil's appeal, and nothing failed the dope test, and he was banned for 4 years. So all these things, they just happened at the wrong time, and nobody could represent Sushil. It was just crazy times. There was every news channel, newspaper, they were all covering this, and we didn't know what to do. Like, can there be a resolve before the Olympics? And it was, nursing went to Rio. He gave the veins, I think, and just couldn't compete. It was just sad to see the 74 kg go blank, because nursing was a strong contender. There's no doubt, because he's reached the bronze medal match. I think he lost the semifinals to Onurbut, I think, Purjav Onurbut. So, and that was a very last second loss. He got pushed out of the danger zone in the last second, and he lost. Otherwise, he would have been in the finals as well. So he was a strong contender. He has been improving, and it was probably his best chance at an Olympic medal. He'll be old by the time Tokyo comes, and I don't think his ban gets lifted during the qualification rounds of Tokyo. So it's sad for wrestling in India. I think that controversy took place.
And in the Asian Games, Kumar came back to action. He's in his 30s now. He actually wrestled the best man at my wedding, Nathan Shai, at the Cadet Worlds back in 1998. So I've heard this guy's name forever, but he goes out and he loses to Adam Batirov, who was formerly of the Russian Federation, now representing Bahrain. And it was that something that kind of let down the Indian public, because the headlines weren't very weren't very happy with him, saying it was basically it was a wash. It was bad. So where do you see Kumar's career going from here on out after going 0-1 at the Asian Games?
See, the comeback of Sushil began with the nationals in 2017. He came back after 3 years. The most important part of that was he wrestled through a channel. He competed at the lowest level, the interdepartment trials, and then he came back and wrestled for his employers, the railways, and then he came back to the national camp. Then he took the trials for Commonwealth Games. He competed at the Commonwealth game, won the gold medal. But hey, like the Commonwealth game level isn't really great for someone like even Sushil Kumar. Or he's still a strong wrestler for the Commonwealth countries. But then again, he wants to compete more, so he goes to Georgia for a training camp. He competes at Tbilisi Grand Prix, but loses to a Polish guy, I think. So the thing is, in Tbilisi, as Sushil says, and I'm quoting him, that he had cramps in his shoulders, so he couldn't really move. I think then the Asian Games, he competed the Asian Games, and that bout actually showed him the reality. I think that the wrestlers who are there are too much to handle at the international scene, and he cannot just go on because just he's a legend. There's no doubt he's a legend. There's no one who can stop him in India, or maybe they can now that they've seen Asian Games how difficult it was for him. But for him, if a couple of tweets from him and how he has been reacting to media, I think he still has more competition in his mind. But I don't know when and where he will participate. The Asian Games bout, as media reported from Jakarta, the difference was he was okay enjoying the bout and didn't really care about the result. He said, "Okay, I'm enjoying it, my wrestling. I wanted to see how it goes. Wins and losses are not a big thing for me." So these are the things that have changed, but I don't know how long he can continue. He wishes to go to the Tokyo Olympics, as he says in his tweet, but it'll be difficult because there are more new wrestlers who are coming up in India as well, and there will be trials for going and representing India at the World Championships next year. So these things, but let's see how he trains as well. I don't think he's retiring as soon as like in the near future. I don't see him retiring, but yes, it can be after Tokyo maybe, but he'll struggle in India as well, I think now. But he's a legend, and people respect that about him. And let's see how he goes in India. And he should really not think much about the Asian Games defeat to Adam, and just move on if he wants to compete more. But it'll be very difficult route for him if he wants to go to Tokyo.
Now, the question I did have is you brought up, competition in India. During those nationals, he had several walkovers. People they respected him so much they didn't even want to wrestle him. Like, nope, this is your spot. How's he going to get competition if nobody wants to wrestle him?
So the thing is, like, during those nationals, it was so many junior wrestlers who were competing him, and they said that we don't want to wrestle him because he's a legend, and they don't want to wrestle him out of respect. A few of them said that, and a couple of them actually wrestled, and he just destroyed them. So I guess it's more about the respect that juniors won't wrestle him, and the ones who wrestled weren't really up to his mark. And I don't know what the mindset of a wrestler going into such bouts is, but yeah, Sushil is a strong guy. His explosive strength was everything, yeah, right? His explosive power during the London Olympics. He's like a cheetah for us. And then with age, he's now slowed down a lot. But still, I think the wrestlers, there were juniors who said that they don't want to compete him out of respect. But the thing is that nationals were more important for Sushil to get back into the national camp and show the world that, okay, I'm wrestling via the trials and the procedures of the Wrestling Federation of India, and they cannot stop him from competing, because you can't ask a player to stop just because he's aged. It's up to him. So that's all he wanted to show, that I'm coming from a proper channel, and I'm not stopping them from wrestling. They just don't want to wrestle. It's not his mistake. And he came back in the national camp, and I think the nationals were not right. I get the people should have wrestled him. It's a mistake on the part of the junior wrestlers as well, that if you can't compete him, then you shouldn't think of competing internationally as well. So I think it's Sushil. Sushil really didn't care about who's wrestling him, who isn't, and he just wanted to come back to and show the people that I'm still wrestling here, and I want to come back and earn that respect from everyone.
India's come into the international forefront the last couple of years with the Professional Wrestling League, the PWL, and it's got a franchise-based system. There's a draft. There's an interesting dual meet format. How have these been attended? I mean, it looks like they're big crowds. I mean, how big are these facilities, and what has been the general response from within the country and the media coverage about how the PWL has been the last 2 seasons?
The first season in 2005 was a very good season. It was nicely done. There were wrestlers from around the world, and the international wrestling class has only gone better with, I think, Sablova coming here, Salulev, Kurbanolev, and Helen was here this year, and I think Adeline Gray was here first season. So these things help people get to know more about wrestling and the international stars. And even the juniors, some of the juniors are getting good exposure. The thing from the pro wrestling league, it's a nice start, I think. But the crowds were decent in the first season, and again, the crowds are decent. There are a lot of people who come and watch it. They're excited about it. But a little bit more organization, and I think we can grow it bigger and better. But it lacks a lot of things, I think, and the international wrestlers, you need to make more scheduling more apt, and you cannot just have back to back bouts every second day. You need to pan it out of outside New Delhi as well to make it grow. So yeah, I get the scheduling part isn't in the hands of the organizers because of the international calendar. But slowly, as we can get the international body, the UWW involved, and then a bit more better organization, and I think more wrestlers from outside can come, and more opportunities the junior wrestlers get. It can be a bit more professional to pick up, and then we can have more coming in from across the country, and if it can be taken to other cities as well. So the crowd in New Delhi is decent. It's still people coming from Haryana because it's just a neighboring state, so they can come. And also the setup is also nice. They're nice, like the way they advertise, the looks of it. They're all good, and the money involved is decent as well. So it all works fine, but they still need to improve in a lot of areas, especially the organizing skills and how they're handling the wrestlers. How they make the things work with wrestlers. Okay, a bit more professionalism can come in. That will really help them, the organizers of PWL. Otherwise, the response has been terrific for the first 3 seasons, and I hope it grows, which is much needed. And I think they can do it more like a 3-month thing, like the Iran does, and just make it, phase it out. Like, I don't know how can they do it, because it involves a lot of production cost. The cost increases because the flights and international wrestlers when is their availability. So these things, and the response to PWL is I think it has decreased in the third season because the third season didn't see a lot more audience crowd. The TV was okay, the TV numbers are okay, but to inside the stadium, it's a bit of still, people need to bring more people. I think advertising more and, putting out posters, maybe towards outside New Delhi as well, so people can get to know that, okay, this is happening. But yeah, it's a good start. I think they can build if they organize it better and, advertise it better, get more people involved in it, and work with the International Federation to popularize it.
What's been the response from at least maybe your perspective on these international wrestlers that are coming in? You've mentioned Hella Maroulis, Erica Weeb from Canada came in. Adeline Gray was in there the previous season, and Vladimir Kinchekishvili from Georgia. I mean, you've got some international hammers really coming in. So what's it mean to you think to expose those international names, those the world and Olympic champions to the Indian wrestling community?
Yeah, with all these international stars coming in, they're you can say they're showstoppers. Actually, how they wrestle, and they're dominating the thing. So when they dominate, people start liking them as well. They're giving their teams the wins, and they know how to engage the crowd as well. So that's one thing that the people have really loved about it. And also they haven't seen them performing live, because India doesn't really host mega international events like, say, the World Championship. It hasn't hosted it for a long time. So these guys coming, and all those flashlights are beaming and all those colors and nice thing, music and everything. So people really like how they win the bouts, and they want to maybe say hi to them. It's the response is very good. The people like the international stars. So when Haji Alev and Ramanov compete each other, so people really get excited about it. Some Ramanov got a move done, and Haji counters. So these things really get them excited. They know the names. Not all of them can be pronounced easily. But say like Vladimir Kinchegashvili. So not all of them can pronounce it, but they know like he's from Georgia. The 125 guy, his hair, and people really liked how easily they're easygoing they are, and they really don't actually behave like stars and celebrities. So that's one good thing, and they are the showstoppers of this league. They come, they entertain the crowd, and the crowd really loves when they rack up the wins for the team. The response to international stars have been really good, but I think say someone like Vladimir is coming every year, but others haven't really been consistent in coming back. So Gadisov was here, Kurbanale was here last year, but this time they're not here. Sabalov, Ramanov, these guys came, and say Adeline Gray, she was here in the first season, then not for the second, 2 more seasons. A lot depends on the auctions as well. The owners of the franchises, they have a limited purse, so they need to finish everything in that purse of money. So all these things are taken into considerations, but still a very good league, and the international stars have really lighted up. So you see Sofia Matson and Ordonio. This rivalry actually took a new shape in PWL. So with Sofia, winning those bouts. So all these things, small little things, people are really excited about female wrestling in the league. So yeah, these international stars are really popular among Indians.
You can follow Vinay Siwach at Siwach Vinay. It's SIWACHVINAY on Twitter. He's always tweeting about international wrestling, always paying attention to what's going on, whether it be the Asian Games, the Continentals, the World Championships. Guy is just keyed into it. You can follow his stuff at the Indian Express. You get that in the Mad Talk Online daily newsletter at madtalkonline.com/news. And Vinay, any final words for wrestling fans around the world, the United States, to pay attention to either what you've got going on in covering Indian wrestling or just India wrestling in general?
Indian wrestling is actually growing up. We have so everyone is excited about Bajrang Punia. He's just won the Yasir Dogo tournament, the Tbilisi, and even the Asian Games. So we're excited about him, how he goes over the next two years till the Tokyo Olympics. Vinay Fogart in the females. So yeah, these two are the stars in wrestling, and also like a lot more people coming up in the juniors and the cadet levels. But still a lot of things happen on the mud wrestling. So otherwise, internationally, it's been I think it's the Olympic cycle. The 2 years to Olympics was really taken. Every country is really preparing for it, and the World Championship in Budapest will be pretty exciting, and so many big hammers are coming, and the bouts will be all exciting. And we have a new rivalry, I think, Chamizo versus Barroso, and it'll be exciting, the round 3 in Budapest. So, yeah, people are actually, they watch all these things in India as well. They follow these things, and they know these rivalries are coming up, and the 65 kg is stacked there all around the world. There's so many good wrestlers in the 65 kg category. And also the 57, you'll never know who wins the 57, because you see Japan's Takashi, he lost in the Asian Games to North Korea. So we have another new wrestler who's a contender at the World Championships. So these things people follow, and really excited for this cycle of Olympics, Tokyo, and the Budapest Championships, and also the next year's World Championship will be two of the biggest things that wrestling will see. And I think it's been fabulous. I think most of the countries are improving, and we should really see some really good bouts at the Budapest Championships.
Yeah, and you mentioned the World Championships. Next year, in Asia, in Astana, Kazakhstan. So not exactly the short trip for you, but definitely a lot closer than flying around the world over here to Las Vegas. But Vinay, it's been a pleasure. It's nice to actually finally talk to you. We've been conversing for years on Twitter and the social media, talking about international wrestling, and appreciate your coverage from India, because it's definitely educated myself and the readers of the newsletter here in the United States.
Thanks a lot, Jason. It was great talking to you as well and discussing wrestling, because it's still in development phase. We are getting it to the top level in India, and it's great covering this sport, because there's so many good stories of wrestlers, of the federation, of the politics related to wrestling in India, and it's really great to be involved with the international wrestling community, with people like you and others who cover wrestling from around the world. And it's a great small world, and hope to see you sometime in probably the Kazakhstan World Championship next year.
I'll probably be there.
Okay, so see you.
Subscribe to the World Wrestling Resource Podcast by going to WWRpodcast.com and check it out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, or wherever you find your podcasts. World Wrestling Resource at worldwrestlingresource.com.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.